So we got some futures categories here that we can dive into. But we had a report this morning here, guys, that Aaron Rodgers has a contract offer from the Green Bay Packers that would alter the quarterback market. They have made a significant long-term contract offer to Aaron Rodgers. Geoff, is he likely going to stick around? Is this the best option for him?
Yeah, I mean, I think Green Bay should still be the favorite, right? I mean, again, this just basically boils down to, where does Aaron Rodgers feel like he's got the best shot to win a championship? That's basically what this boils down to. I don't think there's really that much else involved. I know there is the past animosity with the Packers, but that seems to be pushed under the table. Money can fix a lot of things, right? I think right now Aaron Rodgers is really just weighing his options and saying, what is my best chance to win? Maybe, like a team like Denver appeals to him, or maybe he changes his mind. But I think when Aaron Rodgers is sitting back at home right now, the answer is still Green Bay. So I think Green Bay deserves to be the favorite in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. Obviously, they've done enough for the contract situation. I think it's just, does Aaron Rodgers, does he still have feelings of animosity there? Does he feel deep down inside that this team just will not commit and do what's necessary, much like they did last year when they didn't commit to getting Odell Beckham? Does he just feel like he just needs a new place? We're at the whim of Aaron Rodgers here, but at the same time, you still have to make Green Bay the favorite because there's no clear outside contender that is realistically a better spot for Aaron Rodgers to win.
Yeah, AJ, this futures category we're talking about in the DK Sportsbook is all about who will take that first snap for like a few different teams. The Packers, as we were preparing for this show, the Packers wasn't even on the DK Sportsbook, but who will take Green Bay's first snap this season? Rodgers, the heavy favorite right now. Jordan Love, then plus 330. Jameis Winston, plus 800. You got to think, too, here, guys, the decision has to come soon because he said he did not want to hold off for a while because he didn't want to impact guys like Devontae Adams, who the Packers are reportedly going to hit with the franchise tag. But, AJ, does this make sense here that obviously Rodgers would be the favorite?
I mean, yeah, I think he has to be the favorite there. But I would be so surprised to see him sign a contract before Devontae Adams. Like, I know that franchise tag is an X factor here, but, like, why is he going to commit for a guy that wants to basically run the team? I mean, I'm right in it. I'm a Packer fan. I live in Wisconsin. Like, we hear it all the time. The guy basically wants to run the team. They hired Tom Clement, which Matt LaFleur basically was like, yeah, Rodgers had a lot to do with bringing him in as the QB coach here. So, like, he's running the team. Why is he going to put pen to paper before Devontae Adams? So I would be surprised to see that happen, or at least without, talking to Devontae like, hey, man, should I actually sign this? Are you coming back? But to that end, I think Rodgers has to be the favorite. Now, if he leaves for that bet, you're going to see the Jordan Love number jump probably in the minus category there, because I think he's the obvious guy after that.
What's crazy is this weekend, too, I think it was just yesterday, you had NBC Sports reported that while Rodgers is staying or is considering staying with the Packers, he's also already negotiated trade deals with teams like the Broncos, the Titans, and the Steelers. That's according to one of their sources. Speaking of the Steelers here, guys, like Mason Rudolph is the favorite at plus 250 to take that first snap, with any rookie coming in at plus 400. You can see it there on your screen. Dwayne Haskins at plus 600. Then you have a few interesting options, including free agents like Jameis Winston or potential trade targets, Russell Wilson. Hey, Aaron Rodgers. Who do you see taking that first snap in Pittsburgh this season, Geoff?
Oh, boy, yeah. This one, Pittsburgh is, I mean, this could go so many different ways, right? Pittsburgh is a team, who has a solid defense, and they might just say, you know what? We're going to stick with Mason Rudolph and maybe bringing in a veteran and go that way. So I think that Mason Rudolph, again, like, he is the deserving favorite right now. It's such a weaker draft class that even if Pittsburgh moved up in the draft, it's not a sure thing that they just throw this rookie out there on a team that, again, might be more defensive oriented anyway. So I think Mason Rudolph is the deserving favorite, but I think it's also a team where you can start to take shots. Like I'm not interested in taking shots at like Jameis Winston for the Green Bay Packers, but for the Pittsburgh Steelers situation, I think Jameis Winston makes a ton of sense. I mean, they have a guy in Chase Claypool, obviously Deontay Johnson. Like, these are downfield weapons in the wide receiver game. And, what have we seen for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense last couple of years? They've just been stagnant because they have a quarterback who can't throw over 5 yards. At least Jameis Winston would bring that option to them. So I actually like Winston for the Steelers fit. I think that when this kind of boils down to it and all the big names are kind of off the market, I think Jameis Winston is definitely a place, a name that the Pittsburgh Steelers will be exploring at some point.
All right, AJ, whose odds do you like here to take the Steelers' first snap?
Well, I mean, I think it is important to remember Rudolph just got like a $4 million contract extension. That's a lot of money for a backup. So obviously they see something in him to at least compete for the job. So yeah, being the favorite makes a lot of sense to me. I agree with Geoff. I don't like any rookie option. I'd rather go to Dwayne Haskins here at plus 600 because I think there's at least a chance he could beat Rudolph, in a competition. And I think I prefer, just like Geoff, one of those two in-house options. I'd rather bet on those than being speculative with Winston or Wilson in this spot. So for me, I think Haskins at plus 600 makes the most sense, in terms of value and trying to bet that one.
Yeah, Pittsburgh Brass seems to have confidence in Rudolph. His only start this past year was the game that resulted in a tie with the Detroit Lions. Next up, though, speaking of Russell Wilson, we got the Seahawks. They always seem to have questions now, like year in, year out, about Wilson's status. He is the favorite in this spot, as you would expect, minus 250 with the any rookie category coming up at plus 400 as the next closest option. So despite all this drama, what are your expectations for Wilson's future in Seattle, AJ?
I actually don't think he's going to stick around. By all reports, he's looking at trade options and seeing what's out there and wants to explore other opportunities on where he could be competitive. So, and I think it's telling. Look, we talked about Rodgers and all the turmoil there and all this back and forth, and he's minus 500 compared to Wilson just being minus 250. So clearly there's some indication that he might not be there. In terms of where I go on this bet, look, they don't have a first-round pick. Obviously, they would get one if they traded Russell Wilson. But because of that, I'm not looking at any rookie option here. They're not going to draft a guy in the second round that's going to start day one. This is actually a spot where I like Carson Wentz at plus 1,000 or even Jimmy G at plus 2,000. I think those are both names that would make sense to end up there. A guy like, if Aaron Rodgers were to hit the market, I don't think he's looking at Seattle. It's the reason Wilson's looking to get out. So having somebody else who maybe wants to come in, earn an opportunity to be a starter on a team, kind of revamp the image a little bit. I think Wentz and Jimmy G both make sense there. And that's why I like their odds in this bet on the DK Sportsbook.
Geoff, whose odds do you like here to take Seattle's first snap at quarterback?
AJ made a really good point about the differing odds we're getting with Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is half, of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this is a completely different situation too. This isn't Russell Wilson necessarily having all the power. The team has a say here, and maybe the team just says enough is enough. Like, we're going to cut ties with you. You're clearly not happy, or they just get an offer like of 4 first-round picks and like, you know what, we need to just do this. Excuse me. Now, okay. Everything we've heard from the team thus far has suggested that, like, they're not really ready to do that. But things can flip so quick in the NFL, and we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes here. I think Russell Wilson is interested in leaving the Seattle Seahawks. And I think that, this is the second offseason in a row we've heard this. So I'm more interested in taking shots down the line here. I think a guy like Marcus Mariota, plus 1,400. I think if Russell Wilson does leave, again, it's going to become much like a Pittsburgh situation. Seattle will look to fill that hole with a veteran guy. I think Pete Carroll wants to run a defensive run-first offense anyways. Tyrod Taylor, Marcus Mariota, those would be the two names I'd be looking for in Seattle. I think they'll bring some of the same mobility as Wilson, and Carroll will just try and build the run game around them.
Damn, Mariota hasn't made a single start in the NFL since October of 2019.
That's a long time.
Yes.
He's looked pretty good, though, when he stepped in, right? I mean, he's had a couple good starts. A guy who, I'm actually surprised Marcus Mariota didn't get a shot at starting last year. I thought really a team like Washington would take him on, but he signed that juicy backup deal with the Raiders. Who can forgive him for that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's like the best job in the world as a backup quarterback.
Really is.
The backup quarterback in the NFL. No argument here. The next team available on the DK Sportsbook, guys, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we're still going under the assumption that Tom Brady is definitely retired. So Kyle Trask holds the top spot here at plus 300. Take a look at the odds on your screen. Jimmy Garoppolo actually comes in at second at plus 500. Could he finally replace Tom Brady? Then you got a rookie, free agent options, and trade targets kind of filling out the rest of the board. Which direction do you think Tampa goes in, Geoff? Because they're still in win-now mode, so maybe adding a veteran quarterback on the cheap would be the best option, like a Jimmy G.
Like, there's just no way Bruce Arians came back to stick around and start Kyle Trask next year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no way that's happening. I think you've got to fade the top of the board for Tampa. You've got to go big with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think if you're taking a shot, I think Russell Wilson is a guy I would look to be taking a shot with here if he's on the board, if he becomes available in the betting odds. I don't know about Aaron Rodgers necessarily. I'm pretty convinced that it's coming down to like one or two teams for Aaron Rodgers. I'm not sure if Tampa's in there, but who knows? And I really don't hate the Jimmy G option. I feel like if those big names just they can't hook the big fish again like they did with Tom Brady, they will look to Jimmy G because. You know, the one thing Garoppolo does bring, he brings a decent pocket presence. Yeah, he's a bit statuesque. Yes, he gets banged up, but he's got a pretty quick release. And I think Bruce Arians will value that a little bit more than most people. So, yeah, I don't mind taking a shot with Jimmy G, but this is one where I'd be looking down, you know, maybe for something kind of like a Hail Mary play like a Russell Wilson, because I just can't see Bruce Arians not putting pressure on the Tampa Bay like ownership to try and grab a big guy just to keep him around. So.
And despite Jimmy G's like limited game, like his career record, 37-16 as a starter with the playoffs included. The only caveat there to me would be I don't know if any of these NFC teams are going to want to trade within the conference. You know, if they are going to go after a quarterback trade.
I mean, I feel like San Francisco will just take what's there with Jimmy G. Like I'm not sure if they're so worried about like Jimmy G is going to come back and beat us. I think that's the one quarterback where. He's probably fine trading in conference.
Yeah. I could see like you offer him 2 second-round picks, something like that. They're like, okay, fine, deal.
Yeah,
like
I think San Francisco take that.
We'll do it. AJ, who do you think takes this next step? Is there someone whose odds are like, oh, that looks pretty tasty?
I mean, Russ Wilson was the first name that I saw on there. Plus 1,800. Like, I love that value there. And I agree with everything that Geoff said and you, Emerson, about this being a win-now team. They don't need their picks. They've got their first and second this upcoming year that they could shell out. I don't hate the Jimmy G call either. And honestly, before today's news that the Packers were ready to throw that big contract, why not Aaron Rodgers? Like, they could probably bring him and Devontae in, have those guys both come in together. Like, that is an immediate upgrade to what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need. It's not the worst idea. Tom Brady retiring being the first step in that 3-step process to get them over the hump. But we'll see what happens, obviously, with everything there. But I do like Russ as probably my favorite target here in terms of, finding someone with really high value that makes a lot of sense. And plus 1,800 is a good spot.
All right, guys, we just discussed it. 4 teams available in the DK Sportsbook in this category, but we have more teams could be added here that have questions under center. Like, which one in the NFL do you think has the most intriguing quarterback dilemma outside of those 4, AJ?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Rodgers situation is a key one. I think there's, I think those are the 4, really. I didn't find anything that I saw. I mean, Houston maybe could be, in the mix. Are they going to go with Tyrod Taylor? What happens with Deshaun Watson? So really, where does he end up?
Yeah.
And so that's one to watch. But for me, those 4 are the key ones.
I mean, like Geoff, we talked about, one of you guys mentioned Carson Wentz. There's the question there in Indianapolis. We talked about the 2 quarterbacks for the Raiders who could be traded as well.
There's so many what-if teams we could bring up here. I mean, Washington, the Commanders, certainly a team. I don't think they're happy just rolling with Taylor Heineke for another year. The Panthers are another big one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Panthers, Sam Darnold was just horrendous. He was actually worse, if you're looking at grading and just advanced stats, he's actually worse with the Panthers than he was with the Jets. which seems like almost an impossibility last year. So Carolina seems very hot to trot to try and pick up someone. Now, Carolina has mentioned they're interested in the rookie class. I think Washington is really the team to watch here. They've already, by all accounts, made a trade offer for Russell Wilson. So, I mean, this is a team that's not holding back. I think worst case scenario, you're going to see a guy like Mitch Trubisky go to the Washington Commanders. So that's something to watch for. And I will throw out a dark horse for a big QB change and something that might just throw the whole market on its head. And that's the Atlanta Falcons. Matt Ryan, they have not committed to this dude at all. And there has also been links to a name we haven't mentioned at all, Jordan Love. If Aaron Rodgers is minus 500 to go back to the Green Bay Packers, we should be discussing Jordan Love with all these teams, because how can the Packers continue to have an asset like Jordan Love, not trade and get more assets back to help them win a championship for Aaron Rodgers eventually, if they're going to keep Aaron Rodgers? So I think Jordan Love to the Falcons is something that could happen. And I think that Atlanta is a team that, if they want to get rid of Matt Ryan, again, Matt Ryan could go so many places.
Yeah.
So Atlanta's a team I would really keep my eye on.